Hello everyone. In this presentation we have discussed about what is piracy, best management practices and regulations in the international context for protection of merchant ships against piracy. So what is maritime piracy? It is an act of robbery or criminal violence at sea. This mainly includes plundering, hijacking or detention of a ship in international waters. This threat has been on International Maritime Organization's agenda since early 1980s. First, the attention was on the South Sea and the Straits of Malacca and Singapore. Since 2005, International Maritime Organization focused on robbery off the shore of Somalia, in the Gulf of Aden and in the West and Central Africa. In order to address these issues, International Maritime Organization has adopted various fitting guidelines to stakeholders like governments, ship owners, ship operators, and ship masters. So, to learn about these best management practices and regulations in the act of piracy and armed robbery against ships, I would like to invite every one of you to watch this presentation till the end.
Establishment of areas for managing piracy. There are 4 areas such as geographical area, joint war committee listed area, voluntary reporting area, and MSCHOA vessel registration area. Geographical area. Shipping Association has been identified. The geographic boundaries have been reduced, but still there have threats. Considering the past experience, the pirates' capabilities include consultations. Joint war committee listed area. Under this can identify shipping insurance details when ships enter the area. Voluntary reporting area. URMTO registration details appear the connection of reporting vessel. Merchant ships can identify suspicious incidents. MSCHOA vessel registration area. If some vessels have not been registered, they can be established by giving a title. Those are some establishment of areas for managing piracy.
Now I am going to discuss about another best management practice that cover unlawful acts like piracy. It is the doing threat and risk assessment. So let's identify what is meant by threat assessment. Threat assessment is an evaluation and assessment of the intentions of people who could pose a threat to the merchant ships and how they might cause harm and their ability and motivation to carry out the task in here. Threat consists of these 3 factors. They are intention, capability, and opportunity. Now let's identify what are these 3 intention to demonstrate by continued attacks. Opportunity means what is mitigant by the company. Capability refers hackers have the physical means to conduct an act. When it comes to the piracy, the risk is minimized if one of these 3 factors is removed. Actually, the company or master cannot influence either capability or intent. Therefore, best management practice measure focus on minimizing the opportunity. However, obtaining current threat information is critical for risk assessment and decision making. Now let's go to the next slide. When talking about their risk assessment, it is important in voyage planning with a safety management system. As per the slide, ships of voyage specific assessment is useful identifying the suitable measures if preventing, mitigant and recovery in a piracy event happen against ships. Under the conducting risk assessment, identify the ship's protection measures are important. They discussed in detail. In the next slide, normally a risk assessment should include consideration on the factors. First one is the threat. H means that who are the parties, what do they want to achieve, how do they attack, now do they board, which weapons do they use, etc. Next one is background factors shaping the situation. It includes the visibility, sea state, traffic patterns, etc. Next one is possibilities for cooperation. Another one is the ship's characteristics or capabilities to withstand the threat. It includes freeboards, speed, general agreements, etc. Last one is ship's procedure. It means that drills, watch, rosters, chain of command, etc. According to that, risk assessment is useful to look at how a piracy incident unfolds and then at how effective the individual self-defense measures are. A clear understanding of how a piracy incident unfolds can help guide the risk assessment, can make it easier to identify which measures are the most efficient when it comes to preventing or defeating a piracy accident. So now we can understand that threat and risk assessment is important, and it is a best management practice that cover unlawful acts like piracy.
As a result of threat and risk assessment, planning is the most critical and important management practice for prevent piracy. Planning as a best management practice, we can divide it into 5 best practices. The very first one is voyage plan, which provides the guidance of the routes, and it should be updated as necessary and regularly by the reviews of ship security assessment, ship security plan and crew training plans. Second one is ship master's plan, which has based on latest threat and warning information. After the planning processes, the crew should be fully understood about what has planned, and conducting drills according to the requirement is mandatory. All ship protection measures should be examined before on boarded. Also, the information security under planning practice is most critical, because if planning information goes to wrong hands, it will be a disadvantage for planning team itself. Therefore, maintaining planning information security is must, and it will be help to convert planning as a best management practice for prevent piracy at sea.
Establishing ship protection method. SPM that provide layered protection to the ship. The BMP is based on regional experience of attacks and will continue to evolve as methods changes. In here, first one, watched keeping and enhanced vigilance. According to this, master should maintain sufficient binoculars for the enhanced breach team. Second one, maneuvering. In here, master should also practice avoidance maneuvers while maintaining the best possible speed. Third one, alarm. The ship's alarms inform the ship's crew that an attack is underway and warn the attacker that the ship is aware and is reacting. Fourth one, physical barriers. When planning the placement of barriers, special consideration should be given to ships with sunken decks. In here, razor wire is best example for physical barriers.
Water spray and foam monitors. The use of water spray and foam monitors is effective in deterring or delaying any attempt illegally board a ship. Enhanced breach protection. It uses to attackers direct their weapon fire at the bridge and to intimidate the ship's crew to slow or stop the ship. Safe muster point. A safe muster point is an area to provide maximum physical protection to the crew. Lightning. Lightning is used to demonstrate this awareness.
Establishing reporting and responding methods of piracy. UK Maritime Trade Operation reporting forms. Once a ship has transmitted an initial report on entering VRA, UK MTO will request a daily report to be transmitted. Upon reaching port or upon exiting the VRA, UK MTO will request a final report. Forms are such as initial report, daily report, final report, and suspicious report. Maritime Security Center Horn of Africa reporting forms. There are two mainly principal methods to register ships' movement with MSC HOA. They are online, offline. Online method express that it need to be registered with MSC HOA for access, and the offline method describes that a downloadable form is available in its website.
I'm going to talk about the major safety precautions which are followed by the ships when they are under piracy attack. Basically, we can categorize the safety precautions as approaching stage, attacking stage, and actions on illegal boarding. During the approach stage, they follow different steps. As examples, if the ship is not in full speed, increase to the maximum, open the distance. Activate the water spray, initiate the ship emergency procedures, sound the emergency alarm, and make an attack announcement in accordance with the ship emergency communication plan. Likewise, different steps can follow. During the attack stage, when attackers get closer to the ship, reconfirm all the ship crew in safe muster point. Report the attack immediately to the UK MTO and check VTR data is being saved. If the ship is illegally boarded, take all way off the ship and stop the engine. And then all the remaining crew members proceed to the citadel or safe master point, looking at all the internal doors en route. After that, stay in the citadel until the condition forces you to leave, advised by the military.
Implementation International Law for Piracy. New international legislation concerning piracy and recent state patries all contributing to the development of the international law of piracy. The English Act on Piracy, enacted 1698, was probably the first law of piracy at the national level. The most important treaty which codified the international law of piracy was the 1958 Geneva Convention on the High Seas, which contains 8 provisions concerning the suppression of piracy on the high seas. The 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea simply incorporated the anti-piracy provisions of the 1958 Convention without any change. While there is no change so far to the piracy provisions of the LOS Convention, the international law of piracy continues to develop. New legislation at the international and regional level can be seen in recent years. Some are directly deadlined with the issues of piracy, such as the recap, and some are closely related to it, such as the 2005 SUA Protocol. The 2005 SUA Protocol is an additional important legal document to the Convention of the Suppression of Unlawful Act Against the Safety of Maritime Navigation, which was adopted in 1988 under the auspices of the IMO and come into the force in 1992.
In this report, we talk about what is piracy and how piracy will be unlawful act at sea. Mainly we focused on international context for protection of merchant ships. We mentioned some best management practices and regulations that can be helpful to avoid the piracy attacks. When we talk about best management practices that can be helpful for avoid the attacks are establishment of areas for managing piracy, voyage planning, doing threat and risk management, establishing reporting and responding methods, safety precautions under attacking the ships. Those are the best management practices that we mentioned. Also, we discussed implementation of international law for piracy. Laws like 1958 Geneva Convention, 2005 SUA Protocol, SOLAS recap. Those are the laws we discussed in this report. Finally, according to the above information, we have to conclude that piracy is an unlawful act at sea, and when following the above best management practices and laws of piracy, international contest for protection of merchant ships will be secure. That's it. Thank you.